What is going on, everybody? I'm the little face in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. I'm the original gamer, CoCoFEST. I am joined by two very handsome gentlemen, and I'll just do this in alphabetical order. So we have Allen Huffman on the left and John Strong on the right. How are you guys doing?
Okay.
Howdy.
All right, thanks for being with us today. And we are going to talk about some things that John and Alan are both working on. And so why don't we go ahead and switch over right now. And I'm going to show you one of the things that John Strong is working on. I'm switching over here to my CoCo 3 screen. All right, and so what we're looking at here on the CoCo screen here is, I'll let John talk about it in more detail, but this thing he sent me is called a sprite test. And so this is testing what looks like is going to be a future game that to me looks a heck of a lot like Fix-It Felix from Wreck-It Ralph. So I'll let you take it from there, John.
Okay. Yeah, this is something some people's asked for, and I looked at it and go, hey, yeah, we could do that. And then at about Black CoCoFEST, there's some discussions coming about some things that I thought, well, yeah, I think maybe I'll go ahead and I'll do this. And so Fix-It Felix is not a real complicated game, but it is kind of graphically intensive in the size of the sprites.
Okay.
And so you have, Ralph is pretty big and he moves quite a bit. So you've got a lot of data to do that. And so as developing this, I did a couple tests out for some people to see. This is a sprite test. See how it looks in the background, to see if it, whether or not bends in. And if you watch this, you see a couple places where the pixel on like the ear seems to bend into the background, but that doesn't happen for very long.
Okay. I didn't, until you mentioned it, I didn't really notice it, but yeah. Okay.
But, it's going to be moving. It's going to be, visible. You can see them pretty good.
Yeah.
That was the idea of this test, to see, okay, is this going to look right? The other one, you can go ahead and run the other demo.
Okay. And this would be our second demo here. And this is the scroll test, right? Okay. So now we have the building and we see the different layers of the building. So right now I see the bottom layer, which says CoCo Land. And would I press space bar to scroll up a level?
Yes.
Let's soak it in for just a minute there. Here, let's just soak this in. This is pretty cool, right? So we have the CoCo Land on the bottom, and then we can see kind of the red bricks from there. So there's the first floor. There's kind of the main part of the building here, the red bricks and windows. So I'm gonna hit space bar. Okay, we're scrolling. Yeah, that's pretty smooth. That looked pretty good. These windows, I would imagine some of these will get broken by Ralph as he's going through his tirade. So this
and
is.
as you can see, this is the demo. There's grass down in the middle of the,
Oh yeah. Again, okay. You're pointing out things I didn't even get.
This is simply a demo test of just how fast my scrolling routine is working.
Like, how tall is this freaking grass, man? So yeah.
Hey, it sounds like my house where I grew up with kids. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the main part of the building, but I imagine there's more, right? Should I press space bar again?
Yes.
All right, and now we are scrolling. Oh, now we're looking at the penthouse of the building, which is definitely a different look as well now. Taller windows, nicer things, balconies, all that kind of stuff.
We noticed we got a couple blocks over there missing, okay, in the video and the code. But again, this is just testing the scrolling, so it doesn't have to be perfect.
Looks good, and then we will scroll one more time. And now here's the top of the building. Looks really nice. So yeah, the building is in a couple of different sections, right? First floor, many other floors, tenant floors, penthouse, and then roof. So different stages of the building here. It looks pretty good though.
And so this is kind of the thing. I actually went out and bought the movie to look at.
Yeah, we have it. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And I'd seen part of it while we had cable, but I didn't get to see the whole thing. So
that looks good. I'm going to switch over now to full screen so we can see you guys better, and I'll let you start presenting here in just a second. But that looks cool. Thanks for sharing that with me and letting me see that. That looks really good.
Alan now and I have known each other for a long time. We were first introduced by my vendor when I was doing the Soviet bloc, and we first met in person at Atlanta Fest. Well, how long ago was that? What year was that?
It was either 90 or 91 probably, because I have pictures of us together in Chicago in 92 when we shared the booth.
Yeah,
Wow.
okay. It's been the year before then. Okay,
I was
91.
only a year old then.
Yeah, that's
And so,
I wish.
yeah. So we've known each other for quite a long time. We've worked on some other projects together. And so we kind of know how each other thinks on projects. I'll say something and he can almost complete where I'm going in some cases on the projects, and that's been really useful in this music because one of the things I wanted to do with Felix, our Handy Andy as it's named the game, like my version, is to have music in it. Now,
Okay.
I can write code that'll do music. I'm not a musician. I can't write music.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Yeah.
Okay, so
I can't even write the code, so you're better off than I am. So.
and so Alan, we've talked about this in the past while working on something on this, and I thought, hey, Alan's getting back into it. Let's encourage him into it and get his input, give him some credit with the game,
Mm-hmm.
and get some music here.
Nice.
And the second thing I wanted to do, because my target goal for this is to be a cartridge.
Okay.
And therefore I wanted sound on a cartridge. Now, if you've been watching what John Linville has been doing, he actually has sound on a cartridge already. I don't know if he has the ROM on the same cartridge, and I don't know if he has a printed circuit board for it yet. But he's a little bit farther along that than me. We're actually using the same chip
Okay.
to do this. And it's a very simple TI chip. It was used in a lot of arcade systems and home computer systems at the time. BC Micro is one of them. I think the early Tandy 1000 series
Mm-hmm.
either used this chip or a clone of it.
Right.
Sega Master System.
Yes.
Oh, great.
And so,
It's going to sound like an old video game.
right, it's going to sound like a video game.
That's great.
The other
That's
thing
exactly
about
what you
Fix It
want.
Felix that becomes a challenge to me is I've seen these versions. And we'll show you what I think is the arcade version of Fix It Felix, and there's also iOS versions. And none of them are actually true retro.
Okay.
By that, either they're using too high a resolution, they're doing things you couldn't have done on an arcade machine at that time. They've got too many colors, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And all their sound is being played off of a WAV file.
Right.
Okay.
So
And which you wouldn't have done that time because it cost too much.
Right.
There's a few rare that did WAV files in the arcade at that time. Most of it was computer generated or sound chips like this
Mm-hmm.
done.
So is this Texas Instruments sound chip, is this still a product you can buy today?
Yes.
It's still the original thing. It's not like a rebranded thing like a lot of people are doing with microcontrollers and stuff. It's the actual chip.
Yeah. This is the actual chip.
the thing about this sound chip, it's very primitive. It's a lot like the sound hardware that was on a Commodore VIC-20. It has 3 tones and 1 noise generator, and that's it. The only thing you can do is control the volume of the individual channels. So any type of sound other than a tone is being faked by software. And John, just the other night, I went over to a friend's house and he had a 60-in-1 arcade game. And so I went through all the games that were on that list that used this chip. Congo Bongo, the Mr. Do games.
Wow.
And I was listening to the sounds they were doing. And Congo Bongo, unless it's got other hardware, it's doing stuff that I have no idea how they do with this chip. So that'll be some more experimenting.
And so we have 2 of us experimenting with this. One who's a musician. And I've always been interested in sound, okay? Sound effects and things like that. And my games have sound in them. They just don't have music. And I did some things that nobody else was doing. Nobody supported stereo on the sounds, on the Orchestra 90.
True, yeah.
And I had actually considered supporting years ago the Sound Speech Pack. But the problem was they were so expensive. The
Right.
Orchestra 90s actually came down in price where you could buy those for $10 a piece.
You're talking about the actual ones, or are you talking about just the equivalent?
The actual ones did.
Okay.
And so they were low enough cost that people could go and buy one. In fact, we actually had a stock of them that we went to show that we sold people. Orchestra 90 packs at a low cost. Like we bought at Radio Shack or someplace.
Sure. I think I grabbed one at the last fest too. And
really cheap, and we sold them. Okay. And so the idea was, and the other thing about the Orchestra 90 is, while I was looking at it, is okay, I can program this so the person doesn't have to know what they're doing with it. Okay. Dirt simple, because out of the CoCo comes the 6-bit sound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't turn on the sound to the Orchestra 90 to go into the CoCo. Okay, because that will only get you mono sound. So I send 3 sound signals out at all times, left, right, and the CoCo down.
Okay.
And therefore, it doesn't matter whether you have an Orchestra 90 or not. You can play the game. If you have the Orchestra 90 and you got the stereo speakers plugged in or a headset, then you get the stereo sound.
Sure.
So it makes a very smooth experience for the user. Yeah, they get a bonus with the Orchestra 90. If they don't have it,
mm-hmm.
It's very much the same thing.
Okay.
And the other thing is, we were forewarned that, the sound speech pack can be pretty hard to program sometimes, because you can have to be waiting on it and so on. And like I said, with the cost and with the Orchestra 90, because a lot of availability on it. Okay, fast forward 30 or so years, it's a different story now. I've done Orchestra 90, and I'm wanting to do music. And so...
And here we are.
Here we are. We get the sound chip.
We got a sound chip. That's exciting.
And Lindenville's a little bit farther along on the CoCo side of this, on the actual hardware.
Okay.
This is my board there, and Alan has one that I actually wired up on a front board, a little bit more solid, and so I could ship it out to him so he could play with it.
Have you got a 3D printed case for that one yet?
This one's in a 3D printed enclosure holding the guts in.
Okay, is that your version of the sound chip, Alan?
This is his hardware turned into something he made nicer before he sent it to me.
Okay.
So it's got basically the sound chip is really the only thing on here that matters. We're just testing with the little Arduino over here on the side.
Okay.
And
so the sound chip and some extra hardware will be in his cartridge.
Okay, the sound chip is the black chip that's in the center of the thing. Okay, the one on the left is the Arduino?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And
so that's a relatively small chip.
Yes, it's just a 16-pin chip. Okay, a TTL level chip. And as I've stopped to think about it, I think I probably had one of those back in my parts back in the day and never did anything with it because it just takes time to program it up. And when I was playing with sound, I probably just was more likely to wire up a potentiometer, aka volume controls, resistors, and capacitors, and drive my brother crazy. My youngest brother would hate it because I had the chirping bird that randomly chirped sound effect. I'd set it in the room, and just every once in a while he'd chirp. It just drive him batty.
Wow.
He hates it. But it's there. It's an interesting little sound chip. It's inexpensive. It's relatively available from China anyway, from multiple sources.
Okay.
At about $1 a piece for the chip.
Wow.
Okay, it's going to cost more to add it to it because there's going to be some support chips to decode it, etc. To the there. You got a crystal or oscillator or something sent to it. That's what's the silver little can there is the oscillator circuit.
Okay.
And so it's fairly simple, and it gives you the sound of the ear. The other big popular chip is actually what Ed Snyder is using.
Okay.
on his system. Okay. And it is also what Taylor is emulating in his SPGA.
Okay,
and,
that's CoCo on a chip right there, right?
Yeah, and so it's a Taylor's using the AY38912.
Okay.
Which was the original. That's a General Instruments. And Zips is using the Yamaha version of it.
Okay.
And the Yamaha adds a little bit more, I think, control on the envelope and stuff. And they had multiple versions of the chips, some things they did later. Some of their later chips that had FM synthesis actually could do this chip also, if I'm understanding what my research is doing.
Okay.
Okay. And so it's very era type chips. Okay. It's going to give you the arcade sounds of the art there.
Yeah, neat.
Okay. And we're going back to why Fix It Felix when there's actually better games out there to do is, well, recognition. Two, is like, I think it would be really cool to have a really true retro game that did Fix It Felix.
Yes, on a true retro system.
Right. Now, there is actually a Sega Genesis, but now Sega Genesis is a few years newer than the arcade year that they designed this for.
16 bits as well, the whole 9 yards.
Right. You know, the extra sound chip, sprites, and so on. And like Alan had told me, and I'd seen somebody did, I think a Fix It Felix Senior, I think they called it, on the 2600.
Oh,
and
neat.
it doesn't look anything like it. I think he said he played it, and it plays sort of like it. Okay, I like it. And so nobody's really done a true retro version of this. So.
Okay.
Okay. Disney didn't do it.
Right.
Okay. They did a good job of making you think it's retro.
Right. A retro looking and retro playing game on much more modern hardware.
Right. Using more colors, using different sprites and things.
Yeah, so
would have probably
not counting the Atari 2600 version, this may be the first actual 8-bit version of the 8-bit Fix It Felix.
There you go.
Right. In the 2600, they actually called it Fix It Felix.
Oh, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry to interrupt, guys, but I just can't help but notice, Alan, your shirt. Can I get a better look at that shirt?
The shirt, yes. This
I'm
a
coconut shirt.
Are you just now noticing that?
I just now noticed that. Sorry about that. Yeah, I got to get one now too.
I'd like to say I put it on for this discussion, but this is what I was wearing today.
Oh man, that's great. I got to get one of those. I'm jealous. You're the first person to have one. All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm the original gamer, CoCoFEST, and over here is artist Joel M. Adams. How are you, Joel?
I'm doing all right.
But this little slideshow here is some of Joel's work, right? So Joel is a very talented artist. He does a lot of hand-drawn pixel art, which he shares with Instagram. Joel and I met through this thing called the internet. Joel's dad made a game for my beloved color computer.
Temple of Rom, yeah.
Temple of Rom. I actually had the honor of speaking to your father. He was gracious enough to do an interview with me. And sometime later, you reached out to me and you kind of said, hey, dude, I'd like to make a picture for you to put on your Facebook page or your YouTube page. You just kind of very graciously offered to make a little piece of retro art for me, and I was blown away by that.
Myself out there.
Yeah. And so I was like, that's cool. Thank you so much. We did that, and then I started looking at your artwork. But you can see here on Joel's page, and by the way, this is Joel as a Jedi Master too. If he's also he's also a Jedi. But I mean, look at some of this artwork here. This is Link from Zelda that he kind of hand drew, and it's just really cool. So I saw all of his artwork, and I was like, dude, we know what we really need to do. We need to make some merchandise. We should make some T-shirts or something, and I think people will really like it. And we have 5 of Joel's designs that you can get on a T-shirt, a sweater, a coffee mug. I don't think that we've got condoms right now, but that might be coming in the future. But like here's the coffee mug. I'm just my moment to be Jackie the Joke Man right now and do a shameful plug here. But here's my coffee mug that says Original Gamer. You can there's Joel's mug, right? Here's the shirt. It is an actual cotton Fruit of the Loom t-shirt. This is the one that says insert coin. We've got really cool designs here. Here's asteroids. Here is the dragon from Adventure, which I absolutely love. I just love this picture here. It is so iconic to me. Here's a picture of Allen Huffman. Actually, was the first person to buy our CoCo 3 t-shirt here. So here's Allen's t-shirt. Here is the Space Invaders image. You can get this on just about any type of shirt or sweatshirt and just about any color you want. The retro runs strong with Joel, right? He is the spawn of a retro icon. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video to Joel's Instagram page as well. It's at artist Joel M. Adams. Thank you for watching. Keep on gaming retro forever. Be an original gamer. Grab yourself some swag and show your retro love, and we'll see y'all later. Peace out. So, sorry about that, guys.
Okay. Well, it's all right. And so, that's where the challenge kind of to me lies in, is one, I wanted to do a real arcade game, not just a puzzle game. Not that my games aren't arcade games, because they've been on the arcade. Tetris was a big hit in arcade as well as home. And I've done Tetris type games. So I wanted to do something that was a little bit more with people more to action arcade, and to use some of the tools and go a little bit farther beyond what's there. The thing that has happened here is also while doing this, with the size, the graphics in it, especially the sprites, I don't think it's going to fit in 16K ROM, which is the normal ROM size.
Okay.
30, I think it would fit in 32. To put it in 32, you map a whole 32 in that. It makes it hard to map your screen in. Okay. And it's always nicer to use that, be able to map your full 32K screen in at once, so you don't have to switch out and do a bunch of extra code to do that. So if I'm going to the level 16, what makes the most sense is actually do a bank switching.
Okay.
Even if I only use 32, if I want to retain the screen size I am. And if you look at Steve York's games, you'll see in some of those he's actually used a little bit lower resolution.
Right.
And the reason for that is because I know some of his were just the 32, and they just mapped the whole 32 in. Well, if he wanted to do some room for stack space and some variable space, and didn't want to have to do a bunch of crazy things about moving and changing the mapping all the time, one way to do that was go to a little bit smaller screen size, so he'd have some extra RAM space left over to use at the time while he's doing things. And so that comes into discussion on some of the planning. Again, we go back to Zipster's board.
Okay.
Zipster's board does have bank switching on it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he decided to do something like 4K blocks, a maximum of 8K in at the same time. Once I seen that, I sent him a message, and he hasn't had a chance to reply to me yet. He's so busy.
Mm-hmm.
That it'd be a lot better if we could do at least 8K blocks. Because I could do, but you can map two different blocks in it. You map in ROM or RAM. So his mapping would be very great for a lot of the original CoCo 1 games. You can map it in or experiment. But for my games, the data, when you're talking in my demos, of the background tiles is better than 6K. So that'd be, really a problem of trying to map in to fit that in 4K blocks.
Right.
Okay. So really can't use his mapping for it. Now the CoCo Flash from Jim Brain of Retro Innovations does do the mapping as the game cartridges did. So I actually have one on order for use for some test development.
Okay.
And I also had somebody who wanted the case for it, so that helped cover my costs a little bit. And so there's a lot of things going on there, and just looking at the hardware, what you want to do, going into game design.
Right.
And so can I fit here? Well, I could make a smaller game if I didn't want to do compiled sprites, and I'm not sure that I'm going to do compile sprites in the end game on that. But still, the sizes are big. And when I add space for music and data, and I'm going to run out of data pretty quick, space on the 16K ROM.
Sure.
And so when I seen that, I actually switched to doing a little bit different. So to try to have a game for CoCoFEST, and so I'm going to be working on my Dr. Mario clone. It's been playable for some time.
Sure.
I just need to finish it up, and hopefully Alan can do me some music, and we can do that. Have a disc version or something available that'll play off of maybe Ed's card for the fest,
Okay.
and then after that, release a cartridge.
Okay, so this particular version that might use Ed's sound card, is this going to be like a demo, or are you still going to sell it and then sell a different version?
I'm going to sell it.
Okay, you're going to sell it. Obviously, I would assume the music would be optional. If somebody doesn't want to buy Ed's card, they can still play the game.
That I haven't decided on.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because if I do that, then I want to write the music when I have to do the music code. Because I want the same experience. Process.
Well, you're helping out two members of the community, or actually three. So you're helping out Alan, who did the music. You're helping yourself, and you're helping Ed sell some soundboards. So it's like it's a win-win-win.
Well, Alan's doing this very generously.
Okay.
So you don't make that much off the games. Okay. You really don't. And with the web out there, you get access to so much more than what we had. Yeah, we had Delphi and we had CompuServe. It cost us, $6 or more an hour, connect. Like Alan, who gave him sysoff privileges. Then I don't know if he got it free or still had to pay.
No, it was free. I just found my non-disclosure agreement not too long ago. It's expired.
So can you show us a peek at what Dr. Mario or Dr. CoCo is going to look like?
Yes, I can. I'm going to look here too.
And I did look at this with you last year. We did do a preview of this, so I'd seen it once before, but I'd love to see where it is now.
Okay, and this would have been what you'd seen some time ago. Okay. It'd be there.
Right. And I don't even remember how to play the game. It's similar to Tetris, but you have to match the colors. Yeah. It's kind of like a hybrid of Tetris and Bejeweled.
Yeah, long before Bejeweled. Okay.
Right.
And so basically, I just started adding the text, the screen to the title screen.
Yeah, I love your 3D fonts.
Okay. And that's actually all generated on the fly, not a bitmap. The text is generator. I have a routine in the color computer, and that'll create some drop shadows and everything, and draws it on the screen. So it's part of my text code.
Looks good.
And then there, I've got to go in and add the level stuff. I've got a lot of that figured out. I just got to go in that, finish off the graphics here.
How many pieces do you have to get? Okay, so is it 3 or more pieces to make a match?
Yeah.
Okay.
It took me quite a while of playing this without instructions before I figured out what the point was.
Okay.
Oh, you had played Dr. Mario? Okay.
Yeah, I think the first time I played this game was the time I demoed it with you last year, because I'd never played the original Dr. Mario. No, I had not. So it looks cute, though.
But it was another one of these puzzle games that kind of matched with a lot of the code I had.
Sure.
Okay. And so it kind of made sense to go ahead and do this, It's a popular game. Yeah, I've got to write a lot of stuff, but then I got reusable code and concept that I've used.
Sure.
Okay. And so it's going to be dressed up from here, and levels, you can be able to change levels. And
then it's going to support hardware and music on top of that, so we'll have some ear candy to go along with the eye candy.
Right.
Yeah, and Stevie, I don't know, did you ever review his Soviet block?
I have not.
They were really unique back in the day because they had a booth at the Color Computer show in Atlanta, and it had stereo speakers hooked up because the game played in stereo if you had an Orchestra 90 pack.
Sure.
So the little ding noises and stuff would come out of the speaker based on which side of the screen it was on. It was interesting seeing Tetris clone in stereo.
Right, I bet. Well, I did do a stereo review of Bomb Squad just recently, and I did hook up the actual real Orchestra 90 to do that with. So
Well, Bomb Squad.
I didn't realize that supported stereo.
yeah, all of John's games do.
Well, it supports the Orchestra 90. It just doesn't really do the stereo.
Oh, it doesn't do panning? Okay.
No, it doesn't do panning.
Okay.
And actually, that's because I think there's a minor bug in the code. Okay.
Okay.
And I haven't corrected that since it's the same. So that's kind of the deal. But
That's neat. That's neat.
And it speeds up and so on. And you can, again, it starts out real slow, and it's easy to do. It's one of those that hook you, and then now let's get up this level. This is almost impossible to do. Okay, it's a classic, puzzle game.
Yeah, it plays well. Looks well.
And it plays well. It plays either with the joystick or the keyboard. Well, as it plays with the Tandy joystick, it plays with the Atari type boards just well. Okay. And so it's a really nice playing game. And it's based off of my code, just like in Gems and Soviet Bloc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
I like it. So we can look forward to some version of this year at CoCoFEST.
That's my goal, okay? Is to have a version of this at CoCoFEST.
And then an even newer version in the near future when you've got your own custom hardware worked out, and it'll be a ROM cartridge of this.
Yes.
Yeah, and something else I wanted to mention. I'm hoping to rely on John or somebody else to do a custom hardware for me. But this little board, basically some kind of Arduino with the sound chip, and then one of these, which converts the controller board here to a regular serial port that could plug up to the color computer with an adapter. And really all you need is the little dollar chip on here. I'm going to have one of these hooked up to the serial port, the bit banger port on the back of the color computer. So even in BASIC, I'll be able to print things to the printer, bytes to the printer, and have it actually play notes and do kind of the same stuff.
You broke up on us for a second there, Alan. Let me just ask you this, though. If you were going to do that in BASIC, would that facilitate background music as well? Could you send a buffer of stuff to it?
Well, it could. I mean, that could be actually put in the software. You could send it a whole little tune and just send it one byte that says go. But since this does not have to take any CPU time, once it starts playing a tone, it plays it until you tell it to send the next tone. So you just send a couple of bytes every, so often, and it's playing music.
Okay.
So it would be very, very trivial to have, simple games in BASIC that could have multi-voice background music.
Neat.
Yeah. So that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to be playing with.
And I actually, to Alan, I did order a USB to TTL converter.
All right, there we go.
Because I don't have one. Because I actually have the basic chip for the Arduino. I actually picked one of those up at Radio Shack that was in the tin. And that's a pretty basic circuit, and I can probably lay that out for you.
Okay. Yeah, and I've got there's the plans for it, and basically just this, the sound chip, and the TTL to 232 adapter. And then we've got a printer port sound card for the color computer. That'll cost like next to nothing.
The other thing that I'm going to probably, if I do that, I'll probably throw a second chip on board.
Is the printer port any more or less different or better than the actual quote-unquote serial port that's on it? Because I know one says printer, one says serial.
Same thing.
They're both the same.
And so what we'll do is show you a little bit next on some of the development tools to do a little bit here. And I actually renamed this. It used to be what I called Designer. And this is actually what I'll call GameWorks.
Okay.
And we have such things as, we were showing them apps. Let me see if I can bring that up to you.
Oh, neat.
Okay. Like to get rid of the grid. Sometimes I need to see the grid. Sometimes I don't. Okay.
This is like your level designer, basically.
Yes. This is, it's a designer tool. Okay. And so you see some of my different levels. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a grass. I do that separately.
Okay.
There's a title block. There's the penthouse level. There's the roof.
Okay.
And
girders
I
on the
was,
left, grid
yeah.
left. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And there's some reasons I was doing that.
Penthouse.
And then here I just did a.
Oh, that's cool.
So now you can see the whole thing.
Yes. Okay. And there's a few little bit glitches in this yet because I've converted it. Didn't want. Let's see here.
Incredibly useful to be able to visually see your game data.
Okay, and you see here, I've got some levels here.
Oh,
I just
wow.
scroll up and down, so I can actually visually see what I've got on that screen there. Okay, and this is what I use to generate the output to the screens. As Alan pointed out, this window's out of place. It's still there. This, I can actually do things like on the screen, like let's go and let's hit the shift key and go here on the windows.
So you can do block, copy, and paste. Wow. Now is there an undo?
Yeah, no, it doesn't have undos in it yet.
Okay. Control X.
Yeah, so I can do variables and stuff. I can go on here and I can do, this is my little text builder tool. And text size, double. Let's see, text shadow.
Oh my goodness.
Buzz.
That is quite impressive.
Okay, and then this will generate a macro.
Mm-hmm.
Which I drop into my assembly code, and my assembly code can interpret that screen and draw that text in the screen. So when Simon on Facebook was saying he had some cool stuff, he's generating some code, this is standard operating procedure for me.
Yeah, you wrote code to help you write code.
This is why programmers never get anything done. They're too busy writing tools to help them write their project.
Yes, and I could see myself too. I mean, I just like Alan noticed the window being slightly off center. I would probably nitpick over every detail of what my tool looked like before I even got into the game design. Well, my tool's not centered, so therefore my game can't be centered. This
cool.
is how you can look. This is how you can look at the sprites.
Okay, let's see if we can get here.
Oh, he looks great. He looks just like the movie, man.
Okay, and now let's go to Sprite Builder.
And there's the sprite.
Okay, we start 20. And max, let's see.
Okay.
Oh, that's really neat.
So it's showing the animation. There's him slipping.
Yeah,
or like putting on the brakes.
Slow because we're doing, and I don't know if that sprite's going to be used in that. That's used in the arcade version.
Okay.
But, and this is a lot slower with doing this over Skype.
Sure.
Okay, Skype is slowing this down drastically because on my normal system it doesn't have that rewrite there. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's.
Okay. So if you're running on your local machine without Skype running in the background, it's going to animate it for you.
That's amazing.
Okay.
What a neat tool.
And then if you see the button over here, it would then actually can generate the compiled sprites for those. Yeah. Okay. Now the other things is we can do is I can save the images. These things are took to the clipboard now. So if I did this, I could open up Paint and actually paste that into Paint.
Oh, wow.
Word, something like that, okay?
Wow.
And you export to like tiles. And we see Ed has them. Tiles, I want to go ahead and save the palette with it, give it a name and do an export. And it's similar, it generates a similar like data statement because all those tiles. Okay? And it'll do the same thing for my maps. Okay, and so on. And
how hard was it to get the RGB information in your PC-based software that matched the 64 color palette of the CoCo?
We actually found some of that in the emulators. I think I set some stuff up based on what it would be, converted it,
Mm-hmm.
and then found a little bit better data set in one of the emulators. I think I copied that. So you say you have this level. I don't remember if I copied it or not, or used mine. Because you have those levels, and I just took those. You have 6 bits of information on the CoCo, and I took those to each color to its highest bits on the byte. So if it's 2 bits for red, it's to the top 2 bits, highest bits then on the PC. And I don't remember which one I did. Okay, because I did both of them. I did one at a time. And a show map. I have a color usage tool, and it shows me what colors are used where for each tile.
This is what you were talking about to me on the phone last night.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's neat.
And that'll be exported to Excel sometime soon once I have time enough to add my tool into it.
But you can visualize it, which I would imagine is incredibly helpful.
And this is my tile usage report. So as you're developing, you change tiles. You want to know, well, which tiles I'm actually using now, so I can get rid of it.
Wow.
I have a tool over here, and if I had deleted some tiles, I got a pack command. What the pack command does is it removes all the empty spaces on the tiles, go out to the tile maps, and adjusts each one of those so it matches. So I don't have to manually go out and make changes to everything. We support, tile sizes up to like 64. Don't usually want to do that big for a tile size, but this also supports sprites. So I can do a 64 by 64 sprite in the tool. And you have different things like you can rotate, move out, slide up, down, select colors, do a copy and paste.
Wow.
And starting to do
this is robust. This is a very robust tool.
Well, it's always constantly under development. It's probably going to have more added to it. I want actually to embed some things to more code generators for things.
At some point in time, you need to add the provisioning to work with the music as well with this tool, or no?
I'm wondering whether that's going to go in there or not. Alan hasn't seen this yet because I haven't got far enough along. So what I'm doing is opening up to find a MIDI file. And this is not handling, it's only handling a single note at a time right now. Working on that. Alan sent me a test, which simply pays its scale. And so we're going to open up his MIDI file.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great.
And on the left, it's giving a data dump, of what's in that MIDI file. It's saying this is a chunk, this is a header, and so on. This is going through and giving the MIDI's codes and everything out, being kind of verbose about it, showing me the actual values being sent so I can compare, make sure I'm doing it right. This stuff doesn't actually need to be there. It's my debug stuff. Okay. And now this is converted, and I've actually played this. Now I did remove the note-ons, or the note-ons off. And I can actually play that. I took it and dropped it in the Arduino code and played that on the TI sound chip.
Neat.
And it's just this is just a test version. And so I've got to write some code to get rid of those extra notes on and notes off and handle up to the 3 different notes at one time.
Neat.
But we're heading there. And so that allows a musician like Alan to write this in MIDI with a MIDI tool or play it on a keyboard, capture it in MIDI, using a set of rules, that the township will handle, and then simply be able to then convert that into a form that we can drop into a game or any other program
Yeah. If you had a way on your MIDI keyboard to actually hear the synthesizer sounds of the chip while you're playing, so you're actually playing the chip, that would be cool.
That is also possible. Okay. I haven't looked that quite that far, but let's see.
It would be trivial to turn this board into something that receives MIDI notes and just acts like a synthesizer.
That would be neat though, because you could literally compose for the chip with a keyboard, with a generic MIDI keyboard. You know.
Well, we're not recording. Sometime I'll send you an email and show you a trick that I'm using to get started with the music that you may find very interesting. It's I don't know how people did this in the 1980s when they were programming everything with data.
But I actually have, for one of the things I ordered, because I knew I was going to be experimenting with things, is I have a MIDI interface for Arduino.
Okay.
Okay. And so I've been doing a lot of little purchases here and there. Let it drive Homeland Security crazy if they were monitoring my purchases. But
all these electronic devices from overseas.
Right. And so to look at that, so we'd have to buy a board that fit in between these two, and there's sample MIDI software out there, and people's done that. Okay. Converted that. So it's very possible.
My first commercial program for the color computer was a MIDI librarian, so it's pretty straightforward.
Yes, and I'm working with general MIDI files, and I really need to see what our CoCo files generated, so it could be all done on a CoCo.
Probably Brian Schubing might be another good guy to talk to, the music man.
Brian,
I'm sure he's been down these roads before.
Yeah, and so we've been doing a lot of work. It's doing this R&D slows things down as far as products, but it's going to do that, and we're working on taking our CoCo gaming to the next level.
It looks like it. That tool set is next level. This CoCo development is being taken to a next level. Of course, I've never seen CoCo development, but to me, this is really impressive. Your tool set, it's very robust. I'm a visual person, so for me to be able to see what I'm doing, that's huge. All right, thank you so much, Alan and John, for sharing all this stuff with me. My head is spinning and everything else right now, but it's really cool stuff. One thing I've got a much greater appreciation for is, people like you guys who are making this stuff, because it takes, like you're saying, it takes a long time, and all this R&D you're doing to make really cool games. I believe it's really underrated and underappreciated, the time and energy and talent that goes into making this stuff. But I think it ends up being obvious when we see the products, and all your products have always been great products, and I look forward to anything and everything you've got to sell at the fest this year. I'm going to probably buy one of every case you have, because I'm sure I'm going to buy all these boards in the future, even if I don't have the boards now. Let me just buy the case and save myself some shipping. So yeah, I really appreciate everything you do, John, and you too, Alan. I'm looking forward to reading your how to optimize basic stuff in the near future too. I'm going to probably incorporate some of that
never-ending
stuff.
saga.
Yes. All right, guys. But yeah, I do definitely appreciate this. Hopefully we'll have more talks in the future if we have more updates for this, but I want to thank you all. And I want to thank everybody who watched us, and we'll talk to you later. See ya at CoCoFEST, everybody. Bye-bye.
Farewell.